That approach of not using this as a political football lasted for as long as Minister O'Gorman was speaking, and then all the subsequent government speakers in reality were all about using it as a political football. That's why we're debating this today, shamefully, is for the topic to be used as a political football. And I think most people around the country are quite unhappy to see that this is how this issue is being treated. I'm not interested in engaging in that. I'm interested in raising some very serious issues of child protection that are the responsibility of this government, a government that has had the power to remedy all of these serious issues for the last 5 years, had the power really for 100 years between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and has chosen not to. A government that has the biggest budget surplus in the history of the state, and that has chosen not to remedy the serious child protection failures which are ongoing across the state right now. It tells you a lot about where the government's priorities lie, which I believe are not with child protection. Instead, it's with corporate protection, protecting the interests of big business and the wealthy in this country, and to hell with everyone else, including particularly vulnerable children. The Ombudsman for Children said last July that the state should ask itself how it has fallen so far that it is unable to provide a highly vulnerable child in the care of the state with a safe and stable place to live, a social worker, a trusted adult that they know will care for them. And he answered that question, a combination of government intransigence and neglect. That neglect is obvious when you look at how children in the care of the state and in the care of private companies, contracted and paid for by the state, as well as families themselves sometimes having to pay, which I'll come on to, how they are being treated. The Child Law Project reported last July that judges are in despair over the lack of appropriate places for children in care, and that this is having a domino effect that risks collapsing the care system. One judge warned that the lack of places is a tsunami about to reach shore and nothing is being done. He said it was only by the graces of God that some of the kids involved were still alive. And the government's response? Not to deal with the crisis in the childcare system, but to end funding for the Child Law Project, to shut down the only public source of information we have on the childcare system. Researchers have not been sent to observe court proceedings since June because funding for the project has been axed. We have reference in the Minister's speech about a new reporting system, sharing the opinion that court reporting is important and, quote, should be retained into the future. That would give the impression that it's happening right now. It is not happening right now. It needs to be reinstated. It seems that it will be several months, at least, before a new reporting system is established. We need a date. We should have had a date from the Minister today about when this vital reporting would be re-established. Fears that children without an appropriate care place are at risk of death is well grounded. Last year, 29 young people in care, in aftercare or known to TUSLA died. 23 died in 2022. And the reality is that those tragic deaths are only the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath is a maelstrom of under-resourcing and state neglect. The crisis in childcare places is now so bad that vulnerable children are routinely being warehoused in Airbnbs, in holiday homes operated by private, for-profit companies and staffed by unqualified attendants. Of course, the companies involved are making a tidy profit. Primetime reported last May that 166 minors were left in this type of unsuitable private accommodation. Shockingly, that includes babies, it includes toddlers and preschoolers, as well as older kids. Conditions in some cases are so bad that charity workers and social workers have been left in tears after visiting the children. Of course, the government knows all of this. This is not news. It chooses not to fix it, despite the billions available to it. It chooses not to improve wages and conditions for social workers, not to finance the construction of purpose-built, appropriate care facilities, not to support families so as to prevent children being taken into care in the first place.